Everything you have taken for granted, every place you call home, may be closer to change than you realize. The universe speaks in subtle ways, through shifts that feel like accidents, moments that seem small but are actually turning points. Those who are chosen, the ones destined to awaken, sense these shifts before others. They feel a quiet unease, a tug in their spirit, a knowing that life as they know it is about to transform. Today, I will guide you through a journey that many overlook. You will learn why losing a familiar place is not a punishment, but a profound signal, a call from the universe urging you to awaken to a deeper level of awareness. We will explore ancient Shaolin wisdom, mindfulness practices, and principles of personal mastery that reveal how displacement can become a doorway to inner strength and clarity. You will discover how to navigate these moments without fear, how to turn uncertainty into power, and why true freedom always begins within. By the end of this video, you will understand how external loss reflects the inner journey, why attachment keeps you from stepping into your higher purpose, and how ancient teachings provide tools to transform chaos into opportunity. This is a path few walk, yet it leads to mastery of mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire, where every lesson is drawn from the deepest wells of wisdom and every moment of change becomes an invitation to rise. Subscribe now and join a community of seekers ready to embrace the fires that awaken the soul. Stay with me until the very end, because what you learn here may change not only where you live, but who you are meant to become. Life shifts in silence, often without warning, like wind brushing across still water. One day the walls that surround you feel secure, familiar, unchanging. The next they may vanish or be taken away, leaving emptiness that whispers a truth most ignore. Nothing lasts. Everything you hold on to, your home, your routines, the places you call safe, is temporary. This is not loss, it is the law of life itself. In Shaolin practice, we call this principle anicca, the impermanence of all things. To resist it is to resist reality, and resistance breeds suffering. The true path is to observe, to witness change without panic, without clinging. A home is not just bricks and wood, it is a reflection of your attachment, your desire for permanence in a world that refuses it. When the universe moves your foundation, it asks you to see beyond the material, to find stability within, where no walls can confine you. Many fear this truth. They fight, they hold, they bargain with reality. But a Shaolin master understands that freedom emerges when attachment dissolves. Losing a familiar place becomes a teacher. It strips away distraction, revealing what is truly essential. The heart that learns to walk lightly, that does not tether happiness to a location, begins to know a deeper kind of home. One that cannot be taken, one that exists in discipline, awareness, and presence. This is why impermanence is not to be feared. Each shifting moment is an opportunity to practice letting go, to step lightly in the world, and to cultivate resilience. The walls may crumble, the rooms may empty, yet the mind that is trained in acceptance remains untouched, anchored in stillness. Life's impermanence, once embraced, becomes a doorway, leading away from dependency toward freedom that no loss can ever reach. Strength does not announce itself in moments of ease. It awakens quietly when the world shifts beneath your feet, when the familiar is no longer yours to hold. Losing a home, a place of comfort, or a sense of stability is more than circumstance, it is a summons. The universe asks a question: how rooted are you in yourself when everything else falls away? Shaolin monks have walked this path for centuries. They understand that true mastery begins not in ease, but in the absence of comfort. When walls crumble and possessions vanish, the mind is tested. Will fear take hold, or will calm arise from within? The answer lies in discipline, cultivated slowly through repetition, through silence, through the intentional act of turning inward rather than outward. In the quiet of early mornings, monks practice forms not for show, but to train the mind to remain steady, to endure the unexpected, to bend without breaking. Every breath becomes a measure of inner resilience. Every step, a lesson in balance. They know that reliance on external safety is fragile. The only fortress that cannot be taken is built of self-mastery. When displacement comes, it can feel like the world is conspiring against you. Yet in truth, it is offering a mirror. It reveals the strength that has been hiding beneath comfort, waiting for an invitation to rise. The challenge is simple in words, but profound in practice. Stand firm when everything is uncertain, move with grace when fear tempts you to stumble, and cultivate patience when the world demands reaction. Resilience is not merely surviving loss, it is embracing it as a teacher. Inner strength is not a gift, but a skill honed in the fires of discomfort. Those who learn this skill carry stability wherever they go. They discover that the mind, disciplined and calm, becomes a home that cannot be lost, a place of unshakable mastery that even change cannot touch. Discomfort arrives without invitation, yet it carries a message older than any building or city. Life's upheavals are not punishments. They are mirrors, reflecting the places where the mind clings, where the heart resists the flow of change. The walls that once felt secure, the rooms filled with routine, can vanish overnight, leaving a quiet space where awareness must rise to meet it. In Shaolin practice, discomfort is a teacher, one that demands attention and respect. To resist it is to increase suffering. To face it with mindfulness is to learn. Mindfulness does not soften reality, nor does it create escape. It simply asks the mind to observe, to notice the tightening of fear, the surge of anxiety, without adding judgment, without pulling away. Each moment of unease becomes a lesson in presence, a chance to see clearly what lies beneath instinctive reaction. The loss of familiar surroundings sharpens this lesson. When a home is no longer a refuge, the mind is invited to find stillness within itself. Silence becomes a shelter. Breath becomes an anchor. The chaos outside cannot disturb the calm cultivated inside. The more the mind practices this discipline, the less it is swayed by circumstance. In this way, external change is transformed into internal mastery. Discomfort teaches patience, resilience, and adaptability. It shows where attachments bind the spirit and where flexibility allows it to move freely. Those who honor the lessons of unease discover that true security is not found in walls or possessions, but in a mind trained to remain steady when the world shakes. Each challenge becomes a teacher, each loss a stepping stone. And in this disciplined observation, the soul grows strong, the heart remains serene, and life, no matter how unpredictable, becomes a mirror reflecting the mastery already within. Clinging feels natural. From the moment the mind recognizes comfort, it seeks to hold onto it. Walls, furniture, streets, routines, they all become anchors, illusions of safety in a world that is never still. Yet the wisdom of the ancients reminds us that attachment is a silent bind, a chain that tightens with every attempt to secure what cannot last. Shaolin teachings speak clearly. Suffering arises not from loss itself, but from the refusal to release. Every attachment, no matter how small, tethers the spirit to the impermanent. A home may shelter the body, yet if the heart clings too tightly, the mind suffers at the first tremor of change. True freedom is not in possession, but in the capacity to walk lightly, to exist fully without dependence on what is temporary. Letting go of a living space becomes a practice of inner liberation. Each object, each memory, each room held too tightly is an opportunity to observe the mind and recognize its patterns. Where is fear born? Where is comfort mistaken for identity? In releasing these illusions, the mind learns a discipline beyond walls and roofs. The heart opens to the truth that security is cultivated within, in steadiness of thought, clarity of intention, and the calm that comes from self-mastery. This is not a lesson in denial or detachment from life, but in wise engagement with it. The world will shift, possessions will come and go, and people will depart. Those who practice letting go find that their foundation is unshakable. The mind trained in release carries peace into every space, every circumstance. Freedom once cultivated cannot be taken by displacement or change. Attachment may have seemed necessary, but mastery shows that it was only a shadow, and letting go reveals the light that has always been waiting. The mind often drifts, carrying the weight of memories and the burden of what might come. It lingers in the past, clings to what is lost, or rushes ahead toward uncertainty. Yet true strength is found in presence, in the deliberate act of returning to this moment, fully aware and fully awake. Presence is not a practice confined to meditation cushions or quiet rooms. It is the art of living with your senses tuned to now, wherever life places you. When a home is lost, the challenge is immediate. The familiar walls, the routines, the sense of order, they vanish, and the mind instinctively reaches backward, seeking security in what is gone. This is where mindfulness becomes a skill of survival and mastery. By anchoring attention to the present, observing each breath, each movement, each sensation, the mind learns to release anxiety and resistance. Fear begins to lose its power when it is seen clearly for what it is, a reaction, not reality. Shaolin masters have long taught that awareness is the strongest weapon against uncertainty. In the face of change, the mind trained in presence does not collapse. It does not chase illusions of permanence or grasp at fleeting comfort. Instead, it perceives the world with clarity, responding with calm rather than reacting with panic. Each moment becomes an opportunity to practice discipline, holding attention steady, breathing deeply, and observing without attachment. Through presence, loss transforms into a teacher. What once would have caused despair now becomes a mirror, showing the depths of inner strength and clarity that already exists. Life's upheavals no longer destabilize, because the mind has found its home within itself. In this quiet mastery, fear dissolves, and what remains is the unshakable awareness that each moment, fully lived, carries the power to awaken the soul. Life often moves in ways the mind cannot predict. Doors close, familiar spaces vanish, and what feels like loss can appear as chaos. Yet beneath the surface, a higher pattern is at work. Sometimes, displacement is not punishment, it is guidance. The universe, in its subtle intelligence, nudges the spirit toward a path that must be walked, even if it cannot yet be seen. Shaolin philosophy teaches that surrender is not weakness but wisdom. To resist the flow of life is to struggle against the river, expending energy and stirring turbulence. To surrender is to move with the current, allowing the mind to observe, the heart to remain calm, and the spirit to remain aligned with purpose. When a home, a routine, or a sense of safety disappears, it is often an invitation: step forward, release what no longer serves, and follow the path your inner self already knows. This alignment requires discipline. It is not a passive waiting, but a mindful readiness. Awareness becomes the compass, guiding each choice, each step toward what matters most. In the stillness cultivated through practice, clarity emerges. What once felt like loss is revealed as a necessary clearing, a space in which new growth, deeper understanding, and higher opportunity can take root. Those who recognize this truth see displacement as a teacher, a mirror reflecting the deeper currents of life. Every challenge becomes a signal, every upheaval a chance to refine judgment, patience, and discernment. What appears to be an ending is often the threshold of a beginning, where the chosen soul steps more fully into its calling. In surrender and alignment, the mind and heart become instruments of purpose, anchored not in fear, but in the quiet certainty that every turn, every change is moving life toward the path that was always meant to be. The mind has a way of clinging to what feels safe, imagining that stability is permanent. When the familiar disappears, a home, a routine, a place of comfort, emotions surge. Anxiety, fear, sadness, even anger can rise like waves, threatening to pull the spirit under. This turbulence is natural, yet it is also an invitation to deeper mastery, a chance to observe the mind without being consumed by it. Shaolin teachings emphasize that personal mastery begins with awareness. Emotions are not enemies, they are messengers. They reveal where the mind is attached, where the heart seeks control, and where discipline is needed. To master oneself is not to suppress feelings, but to witness them fully, with calm and clarity. In observing without reaction, the mind begins to regain its center. Fear is no longer a tyrant, sadness no longer a prison. Ancient practices provide tools for this work. Journaling allows the mind to speak its unrest, turning chaos into clarity. Meditation trains attention, guiding it away from wandering thoughts and into the steadiness of presence. Mindful breathwork anchors the body in the moment, reminding the mind that change does not equal danger. Each practice becomes a bridge between external loss and internal stability, a method to remain grounded when the world shifts unpredictably. Through repeated discipline, emotional turbulence transforms into insight. Every wave of fear or grief is a lesson in patience, resilience, and self-command. Those who cultivate this mastery discover that security is not a place but a state of being. The mind, trained to observe without clinging, becomes a sanctuary. In the calm cultivated within, no loss can destabilize, no uncertainty can unseat. What once felt like chaos becomes a mirror, reflecting the strength, clarity, and inner freedom that has always resided at the center of the self. There is a quiet power in simplicity. For centuries, Shaolin masters have lived with few possessions, valuing self-sufficiency over comfort and clarity over clutter. They teach that the weight of excess clouds the mind and binds the spirit. Every object, every routine, every attachment carries energy that when released, frees the heart and sharpens awareness. When a familiar space disappears, this lesson becomes immediate and unavoidable. The walls, the belongings, the routines that once felt necessary fall away, leaving only what is essential. In that emptiness, the mind begins to measure life not by what is around it, but by what it carries within. Thoughts become clearer, attention sharper, and the soul lighter. It is in these moments that the true practice of simplicity reveals itself, not as a sacrifice, but as liberation. Simplicity is discipline in motion. It requires careful attention, the willingness to release excess, and the courage to meet life stripped of illusion. It teaches that value is not in accumulation but in mastery. The mastery of mind, the mastery of intention, the mastery of being. The external loss becomes an opportunity to examine what truly sustains life, presence, purpose, and inner resilience. In this stripped-down state, each breath, each step, each moment is amplified. The mind notices what was once ignored, the subtleties of thought, the quiet rhythms of daily life, the depths of stillness within. The world outside may be chaotic, unpredictable, and shifting, yet the heart learns that strength does not come from what surrounds it, but from the clarity and focus it cultivates inside. The practice of simplicity transforms absence into clarity, scarcity into insight, and loss into a rare chance to discover the essence of life itself, a freedom that no change or displacement can ever take away. Chaos has a way of revealing what is untrained within us. When the world shifts suddenly, when homes, routines, or familiar comforts vanish, it tests every habit, every thought, every fragment of discipline cultivated over time. External turmoil mirrors internal unrest, exposing cracks in patience, focus, and resilience. It is in these moments that true mastery is measured, not by what is lost, but by the steadiness of the mind in the storm. Shaolin philosophy teaches that discipline is the anchor in such storms. It is not rigid obedience, but a cultivated rhythm that carries the spirit through uncertainty. Rituals, meditation, and consistent practices act as quiet pillars, holding the mind upright when external walls crumble. The breath becomes a ritual of presence, the movement of the body a reminder of control, the repetition of practice a signal that stability exists independent of circumstance. Daily discipline, when maintained even in calm, becomes a bridge to transformation in chaos. It shapes the mind to respond with clarity rather than panic, to observe rather than react. Each practiced habit reinforces the inner sanctuary that cannot be disturbed by the shifting tides of the outside world. In this way, loss and upheaval become not threats, but opportunities. Discipline transforms fear into insight, uncertainty into awareness, and upheaval into a doorway toward growth. The challenge is subtle. Maintain small acts of order, honor the routines that nurture clarity, and allow the consistency of practice to carry you. In time, the mind trained in this way begins to see chaos not as destruction but as instruction. Every moment of upheaval becomes a mirror, reflecting the depth of inner control. Through discipline, the soul learns that no matter how turbulent life becomes, there is always a foundation within, a silent, unshakable presence waiting to guide the chosen one through every trial. Loss often feels like an ending, a door closing with finality. Yet the deeper truth is that endings are rarely what they seem. In the rhythm of life, each loss is a doorway, a threshold inviting the spirit to step into a new dimension of awareness. The walls that once defined comfort, the spaces that once held security, are not taken to punish, but to teach. They ask the mind and heart to expand beyond what is familiar and embrace the unknown. Shaolin wisdom teaches that true mastery grows in the soil of change. To let go is not a passive surrender, but an active practice of alignment with the flow of life. Each moment of release, every attachment loosened, every expectation surrendered, becomes a step toward a higher level of personal power. The mind learns to remain steady while the world shifts, the heart learns to remain open while circumstances dissolve, and the spirit learns that freedom is never outside but always within. Embracing change is a form of alchemy. The discomfort of loss is transformed into clarity, the uncertainty into insight, and the fear into courage. A home lost, a routine disrupted, or a place once familiar, no longer available, is not the end of stability, it is the beginning of self-mastery. Each challenge is a mirror, reflecting where the mind holds too tightly, where the heart seeks control, and where the soul longs to rise. Those who walk this path discover a profound truth. The world may shift, but the mind trained in presence, discipline, and acceptance remains unshaken. Every challenge becomes a teacher, every upheaval a sacred opportunity. In letting go, the chosen one does not lose but transforms, stepping into a life shaped not by circumstance, but by the steady, unwavering mastery of mind, body, and spirit. Life has a way of teaching its deepest lessons through loss, discomfort, and change. What feels like an ending, the walls we call home, the routines we depend on, can actually be a doorway to something greater. Shaolin teachings remind us that true stability is not found outside, but within. Mindfulness, discipline, and self-mastery cultivate a strength that no circumstance can shake. By letting go, observing without judgment, and aligning with your higher purpose, fear transforms into clarity and uncertainty becomes a guide. Each challenge, each shift is an invitation to awaken, to step more fully into the power and calm that already reside within you. Losing the place you live in is not the end. It is preparation for a higher chapter of your life, one shaped by awareness, resilience, and inner freedom. Take these lessons into your daily life. Pause when discomfort arises. Observe your mind and heart without reacting. Practice presence and discipline in every moment, and allow the flow of life to guide you rather than resist. The journey is ongoing, but each step brings you closer to mastery of yourself, your emotions, and your path. If this message resonates, support our community of seekers by liking this video and subscribing to Shaolin Soulfire. Here, we explore the wisdom of the ancients, uncover the power within, and learn to navigate life with calm, clarity, and purpose. Embrace the lessons, walk with awareness, and let each moment become a step toward the freedom that has always been within you.